guys, what's going on? It's Alex with Simply Stream. Today we're going to be talking about something that, quite frankly, I thought would be at least a year away from discussing, and that is UE6. That's right, Unreal Engine 6 is real and confirmed. As of today, May 24th, 2026, we may have just gotten the first major public look at it through one of the most important competitive games of the last decade, that is Rocket League. That's right, you heard it here first. After years of Rocket League fans waiting for a UE5 upgrade, Epic and Psyonix appear to be skipping straight to UE6. More on this. So in this video, I want to break down everything we know so far about UE6, what today's Rocket League announcement actually means, what Epic has already hinted at publicly, and then we'll get into the rumored features like the big ones such as better multi-threading, proper multi-threading, less stutter, better networking, verse, UEFN integration, Metaverse interop, AI creation tools, and what all this could mean for the future of games. Let's get into it. So first, I want to talk about what happened today. For those of you that don't know, the Rocket League Championship Series Paris Major, Psyonix showed off what they called a new era for Rocket League. And at the end of the teaser, the big surprise that nobody was expecting that dropped was the UE6 logo. This matters for a few reasons. So if you go back, original Rocket League launched in 2015, and famously it's built on Unreal Engine 3. That's right, not UE4, not UE5, UE3. So for years, fans have been asking, when is Rocket League finally going to move to UE5? And today the answer seems to be, it isn't. It's going to go to UE6. That's a much bigger deal than a normal engine upgrade. This isn't just a new lighting pass or new textures or just a few other features. Rocket League, you have to remember, is a physics-heavy, competitive, esports first game where feeling is everything. The timing, car control, ball physics, input response, server consistency, all that has to feel basically perfect. So if Psyonix is confident enough to move Rocket League to UE6, that tells us something. It tells us that UE6 is real enough that Epic's own internal studios are preparing flagship games around it. And to be honest, Rocket League is probably the perfect test case. Why? Because as a showcase, if UE6 can handle Rocket League, that means it can handle low latency multiplayer, physics consistency, high frame rates, esports grade responsiveness, cross-platform support, live service infra, and quite frankly, user expectations from a community that will notice even if the car movement and physics feel even slightly off. That's a big test, and that's why this announcement matters. Now, to be clear, Epic has not released a full public feature list for UE6 yet, so we can only go based off of rumors. We don't have the complete roadmap, we don't have the public release data, we don't have the full docs, but Tim Sweeney himself has talked about UE6 enough that we can finally start to piece together in our heads the outline. And in this video, I just kind of wanted to go over what might UE6 contain and entail. And let's just get into it. So UE6 looks like the point where you could say Unreal Engine, Fortnite, UEFN, Verse, all of this Metaverse infrastructure that Epic has been talking about publicly for years is all going to be massively interconnected, and it's going to converge. So UE5 was all about visual fidelity, nanite, lumen, global illumination, film quality assets, you name it. But UE6, they're really going for large-scale open-world games, performance, interoperability, and potentially AI-assisted creation with agents. That doesn't mean just prettier games, it means making games that are easier to build, easier to connect, easier to publish, easier to update, and potentially, excitingly, potentially easier to move across both platforms and ecosystems. This is huge. So where's this going? So let's get into some of the features. So the number one feature that's been confirmed is better multi-threading, and this is probably the least flashy feature to casual viewer, but for developers, it's probably the most important. Tim Sweeney has acknowledged that one of Unreal's longest running limitations is that the core game simulation has historically been heavily single-threaded. So what does this mean in simple terms? It means if your PC or console has a modern CPU with many cores, a lot of the game logic can still bottleneck on one of your main threads. That's one of the reasons why, even if you have a powerful PC with a strong GPU, and you still get those stutters, hitches, CPU bottlenecks, or inconsistent frame pacing, it isn't always just the shader caching issues or an unoptimized game. A lot of times it is the fact that you're running a single thread. So UE6 could make better use of modern CPUs, better scaling across multiple cores, smoother open worlds, better physics-heavy gameplay, better simulation for AI, better server performance, and ideally fewer frame time spikes. And that's where it could get super interesting for Rocket League. Another area which I just addressed was the shader compilation, traversal stutter, and things like that. To be clear, Epic hasn't actually said UE6 will magically fix all stutter, but it's very obvious they're doing a lot of work. Foundational engine work, I would say. So it's fair to say performance is going to be continuing to be one of the big expected pillars moving from UE5 to UE6, and honestly, it has to be. I mean, UE5 gave us some of the best looking games ever made, but one of the biggest complaints from consumers, gamers, is that the performance issues. So UE6 needs to bridge visual fidelity with scaling, as well as solving a lot of these performance issues. So what's coming next? Verse is coming to Unreal Engine. This is kind of the next big UE6 feature that everyone's talking about, and Tim Sweeney obviously is very passionate about this. This could be massive. So right now, Unreal developers, for those of you that don't know, you mainly use C++ as well as Blueprints. And C++ is pretty powerful, but it can be intimidating for first-time developers. And Blueprints are much more accessible, but it can get a bit messy as your project scales. So Verse is kind of rumored to be this third pillar. Basically, you can think of it as like a language designed for live, networked, multiplayer, creator-driven experiences that can scale. And Verse is really going to become a pillar, a first-class part of UE6 that could, it could make Unreal development more approachable for creators, while still being powerful enough for serious multiplayer and live service systems. So we're going to see this scale across Fortnite, and we're going to see it scale across Rocket League, and Verse is going to be the interconnected tissue you can think about, not just a coding language, but interconnective tissue between these different games as Epic tries to build a broader metaverse. What's the next feature? UEFN and Unreal Engine merging. So this is probably the biggest kind of talk about piece, is that Epic has spent years building Fortnite into more than just a battle royale. It's now a cross-platform world. It's a platform, truly. It's got Lego Fortnite, it's got Rocket Racing, it's got all these custom creator maps, but at the same time, you have Unreal Engine on the other side that is used by traditional game developers, film studios, all this. And UE6 is where we start to see UEFN and the traditional engine and editors start to merge. So this means that, excitingly, creators may actually get a pipeline where something you build in Unreal could be, in fact, published into Fortnite environments. Or you could actually publish your Fortnite islands as standalone games, where I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more on this as UE6 comes out. But this is clearly where Epic has been pushing. Next feature, massive multiplayer and connected worlds. So Tim Sweeney has talked a lot about improving the concurrent networking so that you could have massive numbers of players across connected servers. What problem is this solving, you might ask? So right now, don't quote me, but Fortnite is limited to a little over 100, 150 players in match. What if you could do 1,000, 10,000? So potentially worlds where, you're connecting different shards and servers. You could have a large open metaverse where people can kind of traverse between different worlds. So Fortnite obviously is a prototype for that. We're going to see UE6 expand upon this. And this leads me to the next sort of feature. So that's interoperability. So Epic has talked a lot about a future where different ecosystems can connect more like the web. And we've seen hints of this with like Fortnite collaborations, Lego Fortnite, all this. Epic and Unity did actually announce a while ago work to start bringing Unity created games directly into Fortnite, which that's a huge signal, guys. It suggests that Epic's not only thinking about UE as the center of the universe, they're thinking about Fortnite and Unreal as part of a broader publishing and like interconnected commerce layer for interactive content and games. So connecting games, you could traverse between them, and you could, let's say, bring your cosmetics from Fortnite into Minecraft, into Call of Duty. There's a lot talked about this. Shared assets, shared economies, shared social graphs, shared creator tools, shared economies, and maybe even shared gameplay frameworks and tools. So this is super exciting, and I do think we're going to start to see more of this. Now to move on to probably the most interesting, in my opinion, also maybe the most controversial topic, which is AI. Where are things going with AI? So Epic hasn't publicly announced AI features for UE6 because there's so little info to go off of. It would not shock me if UE6 goes all in on deep AI assisted creation tools, specifically agentic AI for Unreal Engine. I think the whole industry is going to move this way, and quite frankly, by the time UE6 is available, developers are going to be expecting AI to help with everything across game development, from animation, level design, NPC behavior, like you name it, optimization, everything, mesh generation. So it's going to be interesting to see that come. I think that that's going to be the next kind of big push for Unreal Engine, is as the AI creation engine, enabling developers to debug faster, animate faster, prototype faster, and quite frankly, just opening up the engine to a wider audience that can just prompt something into existence. Maybe not, make me AAA game and out pops the game on the other side, but potentially a way to prototype, a way to get something up and running faster, and to do a lot of the smaller tasks that would normally take a dev team a bit of time. I think that's where it's going to be super, super interesting. Moving on to the next one, so open worlds and streaming. So another expected UE6 feature is better support for massive worlds. So UE5 already has some of this, like world partition, virtualized assets, texture streaming, as well as their fast geo streaming plugin, which CD Projekt Red actually contributed to. But again, UE6 is rumored to go much deeper here with better world streaming, better replication, better runtime content loading, and as well as better handling of huge worlds. So we're going to see more and more of that. And quite frankly, as games get larger and larger and RAM is at a scarcity, we're going to need better ways to stream in games, chunking games, things of that manner, to get players into the action quicker, as well as reduce things like memory consumption and improve performance. So I expect to see more in this area. And finally, on to the last area. What does this mean for the creator economy? So UE6 is slated to do a lot for the creator economy. Obviously UEFN, there's Sketchfab, there's ArtStation. We might start to see a broader ecosystem of Epic's products where, you could make something on one platform and it feeds into the other. This is something that I think lends back to the earlier interoperability section that I touched on. I do expect to see more of this. Potentially think about like where you could create something in Sketchfab, bring it over to Fortnite, then maybe into Rocket League. And I think that Epic is really going to go hard in terms of promoting and stitching together their various products into a unified sort of offering for creators, with the backbone of it being AI powered. So that's going to be super interesting as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, what does UE6 mean for developers? Basically, to recap everything, AI assisted development, that's going to be a big thing. Interoperability, better traversal between games, the Metaverse economy, better open worlds and streaming, and runtime optimization and continued addressing of that for the engine, as well as large scale open world and networking. So these are some of the areas that we can expect to see addressed. I hope you liked this video. If you do, please like and share. I'd love to make more like this. And thanks for tuning in. Just to recap, Unreal Engine 6, it's slated to be a large leap forward from UE5. And Rocket League is going to be at the very front and center of this, as well as Fortnite. You can expect to see features arrive there that are going to be slowly rolled out to developers. And who knows, maybe we even see UE6 ship Fortnite and Rocket League using UE6 before it's actually generally rolled out to developers. So I'll be watching closely. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Alex with Simply Stream. If you're very interested in Unreal Engine and you're a developer and you're wondering, like, how do I distribute to more platforms? How do I hit the web? Just a shameless plug. So we actually have built a platform called SimplyStream that enables you to bring your Unreal Engine games and projects to the browser effectively and affordably, utilizing client-side technologies. And so this is kind of a gap for Unreal Engine. And if that's something you're interested in, please check out our site below, linked in the description, simplystream.com. We'd love to help you out. And thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.